Let's be honest, Zenith VR is very one-dimensional. Complete your main quest, and maybe an adventure or hunt quest, and then grind to the next level. And this goes on over and over, making the game take well into the tens and maybe hundreds of hours to complete, depending on how you play the game. So what do you do to keep it interesting? Do it again. But what if we try to do it as fast as possible? That's the core concept of speedrunning. But with its length, speedrunning a game like this would be nearly impossible, right? Well, not exactly. Many games have categories, which aren't usually just finishing the game, but completing various tasks. So I created my own, to make Zenith just that much more interesting. And here's how it went. Just before we get into the video, a little announcement. I'm starting up a Discord server, and I would love for you to join it. This channel was created with a mission in mind, and that was to bring the entire Zenith community together. This is a step in the right direction for Zenith to last as long as possible. It's in very early stages, and I'm going to promote it in quite a few of the next videos. My goal is that we can bring everyone together to do community events, challenges, and maybe even videos together. It's pretty much experimental at this point, but I'd love for you to give it a shot. Links in the description, and let's go. Now, I think this is definitely an interesting series to explore the game and take things to their limits, so I think we should definitely start simple. I call this one Galian %, and it's an easy idea. How fast can you reach the second area, the Galian Valley? And when I refer to that, I don't just mean walking there, I mean the quest specifically where you have to meet Mika in the Galian Valley. How fast can you get there? This will definitely require the most optimization, as grinding Zenith has a variety of methods. But the Fractured Plains gives a generous amount of quests, and it makes it pretty enjoyable. So, the goal for this is just to grind the questline until you're able to meet Mika in the Galian Valley. Once you enter her radius and get the XP, that's time. Now, my rule set isn't really too strict for this, because I do open the menu to switch to smooth first person and mute and deafen myself, but I do want to make it at least a little bit challenging. So what I have for the current special rules is that you're only allowed to change settings if they don't enhance gameplay or change the run in any way. No playing events, this is meant to be more of a solo challenge, so I recommend going on a low server. And once your settings are done, time will start when you hit any button on your controller, including the joystick. If you manage to find a loophole, it's likely if I knew it I would have shut it down, so I recommend not doing that. But anyways, with this rule set, I went on to do a playthrough of the game just to figure out what would be the fastest route to take for this.
Find Field Agent Mika and wave at her to get
Stop
our briefing.
Speaking. Can I turn off voice volume? Dialogue. Okay, we'll turn that off. So we need to pretty much figure out a path for this route. This is really a test run. We're gonna do a test run. We're not gonna go like speedy quick at all. We are just gonna go through and play the game pretty much at least like one time to determine the best route for this. The entire first minute of this run is very straightforward. Doing the 2 quests in the underside only take 1 minute and get you to level 2 for free. Now, after getting that, I roamed around the underside, and it was after I noticed that a side quest existed here that my interest peaked. And not only did a side quest exist, but a spawn of level 3 exiled. But what I didn't know is that these guys actually did not count for the quest line that we have to do. But other than that, I spent an excessive amount of time trying to search for these glowing mushrooms, and I don't think they're here. And then finally I went to the Nexus district and moved on. There's one more crucial piece of the puzzle that you need to know for this run: super gliding. Now, I was not the one to discover this. I found it on Awakened Toast video, which I'll link in the description. And it is kind of hard to explain, but in short, when you glide, if you go in and out of the gliding animation repeatedly, you will gain speed off of that. And it can even lead you up as well. But if you really want to learn how to do it, watch this video. It's extremely useful and allows you to do things like fly up to the watchtower. And my technique is not perfect, but it really helped me during this run, and I used it a lot, even on just flat surfaces. But nonetheless, here goes the quest line. The first quest when you meet Mika at the bridge is just to kill 10 sylphids. I did end up experimenting combining this and the hunt quest, but it really didn't work in the end. After we return to Mika for our reward, we get first flight. I also take this time to start the collection quest just so I know how many horns I have. Not too sure if it's the most efficient, but that's what I went with. With first flight, you just have to climb to the top of the watchtower. So I tried to super glide up, failed miserably, and then just climbed up manually. But, okay. If you master super gliding, you can get probably up there. I'm sure we'll find a way. Then I flew through the 3 rings, touched the crystals, anchored the berserk, and then came back to Mika at the bridge. Simple stuff so far. However, the next quest, Lucky Pandiles and the Price of War, make this run very difficult. This is probably one of the most important quests because there's 2 of them. And these 2 require moving pretty much around the entire map.
The quests aren't hard, sure. The hard part is how you do them in the fastest time possible, especially because Lucky Pandaus has that one in the route, and that is pretty much on the opposite end of the map. But anyways, I take both on. And I noticed another factor that would make this run pretty hard. As long as you're not in combat, your stamina will always increase unless you're jumping or climbing. However, if you get attacked by an enemy when you start to sprint, it'll go down. This makes it important not to get targeted, as when you fall from flight, sprinting keeps your speed going. But you can't sprint if you're losing stamina the entire time. This meant sometimes I literally had to turn around and shoot these sylphids from far away just so I could get my stamina back. But I still did the quests on my way around. Now when you go around the left side of the plains, you're able to do 5 out of 6 of the checkpoints for both of the 2 quests. All 3 of the Price of Ore and 2 of the Lucky Pandaus, we're just missing the route. But after you get that 5th one, you're pretty close to Mika, so for this I just went straight back to Mika instead of doing Pandaus, because since it's the main quest, you can continue. When you find Mika at the lake, you open 2 more quests, another main story quest and another ring quest.
So we get a new adventure quest, but the main story quest needs level 5. I think maybe we just get all 5 of those, come to Mika, complete the quest and get the new quest, do rings, and then go to the ruins.
Being right next to the zipline that takes you up to the rings, it makes sense to do that one first. So I zipped up and flew through some rings. What's nice is that every ring regens your stamina. So after the 10th ring, you have enough just to fly straight to the next main quest area, the village. I didn't actually pick up the Cursed Village quest at this run, but I would on the next ones. This quest required 2 things. 1, to hover your hands over this body here, and 2, to eliminate 8 purple crystals. These crystals were guarded by berserks, so it became a little dangerous.
Okay, so if we run through like this, there are 8. What is going on with this crystal?
Plus, if they're not spawned in before you get there, it'll take some time for them to spawn in, so it gets a little complicated. By the end of this, I didn't really find an optimal route, but it wasn't too bad. So now we went back to Mika, and we had to get level 5. We had 2 options, the collection quest or Lucky Pandaus. However, for this practice run, I just ended up killing sylphids till I got level 5. And this unlocked Homecoming, an important quest. This required you to kill 10 Exiled and 1 Ezreal. At level 5, it's not really that much of a problem. It just kinda takes some time.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty simple.
However, the biggest issue with this is actually the respawning of these Exiled. These Gunner Exiled don't count towards your total, and you can get to a point where you kill all the Exiled. So you could either wait for them to respawn, or go down in the cave and find one yourself, but that might take a lot of time, so a big dilemma arose from this. Most of my runs were just spent waiting. It was at this point where I also encountered another bug. You remember when I told you about how I knew they were Exiled in the underside, and that before I tested it, I thought it would count towards the quest.
They don't count. They don't count.
Well, I was coming back from the underside after realizing it didn't work, and it was extremely blue.
Why is it so blue? What happened to my game? What? Why is it so blue?
Yeah, I really don't know what happened or why it happened, but I just had to restart my game after this. So when I came back, I finished Homecoming, and then went back to Mika at the lake. And one more time, we had to grind to the next level, but I already finished the collection quest before this just to test it out. So we only had Pandaus left, and it didn't look like that would be enough. But we didn't have a choice. So I went to the route, finished my Pandaus quest, and yeah, we were still level 5, but with no more quests, I had to find another way to level 6. So I had to go kill sylphids and do the collection quest a second time, and that finally got us to level 6. But we still had to meet Mika at the lake to get the quest to meet her in the Galian Valley. And it was a long run, but we managed to do it in just over an hour 18. And I spent a lot of time just thinking and testing out super gliding, so obviously this was not a run I was proud of. So I logged off for the day, reviewed the footage, and came up with a plan. This plan wasn't perfect, but a plan nonetheless. We had to try it out. the first thing I noticed was the sugar sitting in my inventory. When you eat this sugar, it'll give you a plus 10% speed boost for 25 seconds. So I had to get that out of my inventory as fast as possible to get that speed boost. Then I noticed that the dogs you have to kill are extremely weak, so you can pretty much zoom by them and just spam them with your bullets. And all you have to do is go forward and up and you'll reach the button at the top of this tower. It is a really quick sequence of events, and this time I actually got out in a minute. I met Mika in the Fractured Plains and quickly wiped out 10 sylphids. First flight is next and just as easy as ever. Fly through the rings and hold your hand over the crystals. And after I was going to do the next 2 quests, I really wanted to reset. So I did, and made my way back to this point.
And you miss. You actually have to hit it and pretty much just climb up here. I really wish you could turn off this robot. It's so annoying. Back to Mika. Then we do this, bam. Then we do this, bam. And we'll start this just in case. Like this, and then... No, not really fast enough. Don't anger him. Go back to Mika. So we do this, and then we get these 2. Then we'll regen some stamina, as always.
And a little faster at that. In a specific order, I did all 3 of the Price of War, and 2 of the Lucky Pandaus minus the route. After this, I was able to meet Mika at the lake. This got us Dragon Tooth Circuit. We ziplined up, flew through some rings, forgot to take the Cursed Village again, and then went back to Mika to actually start it, which means I had to walk all the way over. Then we took down a set of 8 crystals with inconsistent health pools, and observed the evidence of this guy T-posing. Sometimes you might catch yourself in an event to get the crystals, but as long as you don't gain any XP from it, it's perfectly fine. After we completed it, I decided to actually finish Pandaus, and that brought me to level 5, but I was pretty far away from Mika at the lake since I had to go back to the bridge. But I took the time to make my way back and start Homecoming. I took my time, beat the 12 and 1, and made my way back to Mika, both at the lake and at the bridge because I had more quests to complete. I got enough Sylphid Horns to fill the collection quest, but even after that, I still wasn't level 6.
We need about 2,400, it looks like, to complete it. Now, we can hunt again for 1750. We can do this for 2250. I'm not sure which one's going to be faster.
So I ended up doing the daily Lucky Pandaus just to get that, but even that wasn't enough. So it was back to killing Sylphids again for level 6. It took just a few, but we did it and made our way to Mika to finish the run. And I don't know if you can tell, but that is a significantly better run, but still can be better. And I learned some things on this next run. The run started off just like any other. Eat the sugar, run through this tutorial. But I did notice I had another piece of utility in my inventory, and that were the cookies. I ate one now, but I would also end up using this on Homecoming, and it would make that challenge a lot easier. But anyways, 10 Sylphids, back to Mika, easy stuff. I got first flight and finally was able to glide up to the tower in one go. This led me to a faster pace after I went through the rings and touched the crystals. Then it was time to walk around the island doing the next 2 quests. I did a mix of super gliding and running to go around as fast as I could, but it was a problem getting targeted by enemies and not being able to regain stamina with sprint on. Now, with Dragon Tooth Circuit, I was able to find a way to skip this zip line just by flying to the rock and jumping up. You do get enough height to not only jump in the ring, but fly into the gust of air if you do it correctly. This definitely saves some time. Then, since I didn't forget to start Cursed Village, I flew straight in there and did my 8 crystals. And also looked at the guy T-posing. After this, I went to finish Pandaus and go back to Mika at the bridge. Now, I'm level 5. This let me go over and do Homecoming. So after eating the cookie, I took down my 12 exiled and 1 Ezreal. And it was here I learned this is a very good source of horns. If you get lucky enough, you could get 10 horns in these fights. And here I did. So I teleported back to the Fractured Plains, went to Mika at the bridge, and got some bonus XP.
So that's done. Now, we return back to do the main quest. And I think we have to just kill a few Sylphids, and we'll do that on our way to the plains.
And then it all circles back to Mika at the lake. In the next few runs, I optimize the path more, but for now, I have to go back to the bridge and do Lucky Pandaus one more time. This leaves me just under level 6. So, kill some enemies and get level 6.
And then we would make our way back. There's probably a more efficient way to do that.
Go back to Mika, and it's a race to the Galian Valley, where we finish off the run. We did get sub 21, but I knew we made a lot of mistakes, so I went back in. Now this run wasn't too much different, but I did end up doing the second Lucky Pandaus before Homecoming. This saved just a bit of time, and we were just over 20 minutes at the end of it. And I was tempted just to stop here. Just above 20, that's a pretty good time. I played for a few hours, maybe it was time to call it. I went for more, and I managed to get a big personal best after this.
Sub 19. Pretty much an entire minute off. I'm pretty happy with that, and I think I may leave it there.
I was extremely satisfied to call it there. This was extremely fun. A game like this, you never really expect to try hard and go fast, but in a case like this, it just makes it better. I've always loved speedrunning and the community and just the trial and error it takes to optimize the game. I love when a community just comes together to like figure out what the best route is. It's awesome. So, you know, why wouldn't I just do it here as well? I'm sure I'll revisit just like I say in all my videos, and if you really want to try it, I'd love to hear what your best times are. But anyways, thanks for watching. That'll be it.